Very good. You know, so.
First item of business. Hello, I'm Julie. I'm just going to take over until we've appointed the chair, and then I will hand over to whoever we appoint as chair, whoever it might be. We've got no apologies for absence. Item number 2 on the agenda: appointment of chair. Any nominations for the chair of the committee, please?
Peter Hughes.
Peter Hughes. Is that
His nominations.
Is that seconded and agreed?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to you, chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for that voucher. Right, can we get on with the first item of business, declaration of interest? Anybody, any declaration of interest? Well, thank you. Before we go on any further, can I welcome Councillor Mike Bird as the representative of Walsall back to the committee. You've served ably before, and welcome back from Walsall, Mike.
Thank you. They call me Lazarus.
I don't.
He's older than Methuselah. The biblical theme.
Anyway, we've got the minutes of the 12th of May. Can we accept them as a true record?
Yep.
There was just one item that came up from that where we were asking, I think, for a report back in August, just to point that out, that we're relating to WM5G. So that's the one main item to be coming back in a couple of months. So at that point, if you accept the minutes, then we move on to item 5, which is the investment programme update from Ian. Up to you, Nick.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the item, funding commitment to the end of May unchanged at 848.3 million versus the 871 total approved by CA board, with the difference being for earmarked contributions that have been approved by WMCA board in case of need. Costs incurred, or the drawings to the end of May 2025, is now 701.2 million, slightly up from the 84695 figure. And since the last board meeting, officers have exercised delegated powers in one case only, which was a change request extending the time available for the completion of the Sutton Coldfield Gateway project. That's to allow more time to really interface with the plans around Sutton Coldfield and the wider town regeneration. The scheme for Sutton Coldfield Gateway is improvements to transport and to change that. As previously reported, MHCLG have removed the future 5-year gateway reviews, and they're replaced now with an annual conversation, as they call it. So basically 1-year reporting. That updates MHCLG on the performance and governance of the investment programme. And we've been notified since last board that the first annual conversation has been passed and a payment of 36.5 million gain share has been received for the year. Move on to that board when you're ready.
Yep. If you can, please.
Okay. So looking at the dashboard, we have 84 projects as our recorders have been increased funding. 33 of these are further one which completion stage, and those will be going through evaluation. Dashboards recording the funding allocated, funding being used, as well as the approved date, so completion and where the project is tracking against it. We have got red status now on only 4 projects, so that's a significant reduction where we started off the year, which I think was 23 in January. So thanks for support with the board in reinforcing the messages that those need to be dealt with. We have got 4 red related projects now are outstanding as only 4 Solihull under the UKC infrastructure, and I've got 1 sitting with Pregnanshaw's proposal to be signed off soon that will deal with that. I believe the further 3 are being worked. Thank you.
Okay. Right, do we have any questions from the floor relating to either of those items, please, Jim?
Not specifically, but just to mention, because didn't we at the last meeting, I'm sure it was here, we had a presentation from Network Rail. Did we? I'm sure we had something in relation to the hub and to do with, because I'm looking at city centre first here, where you've got a green 31st of the 12th in Coventry. April the 7th, a report was submitted to the investment board confirming the project seeking government funding to further develop the business case for construction of the Bay platform with a target completion date of December 2031. So I'm just making the point. We had this debate at the last meeting. I just don't want Coventry to be held to that. And I'm just making that point because this is a national thing. And there's, in my opinion, there's no way that will happen. And I've said that at the last meeting, but it's on there and it almost makes out as if Coventry are responsible for that. We are not. And I'm making that absolutely clear because this Bay platform, we've been going on about this for 20 years now, and this is subject to opening up the lines to Leicester and Nottingham, etc. It's not instead of, it's as well as. And I'm just saying, I just don't believe they will do it, is my point. And I just don't think putting a target on that as if we're responsible for it is right. It's not. It's Network Rail. Apart from the cost has already gone up yet again. When it was at £10 million a couple of years ago, they're now targeting 40 million quid. You can bet your life by the time they get round to it, it'll have doubled again. And there'll be no money for it. So just make the point. I don't trust a word Network Rail say. That's my point, really.
I've got what's the background.
Yeah, I think we did discuss this at the last meeting, and Ian says he has some background on this.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. So the situation on this has got quite a long history, hasn't it?
Yes.
So the station master plans, the project and the investment programme, I think I'm right in saying that of the total investment programme grant that went into that, included £10 million for the Bay platform. A change request came back some years ago because there was a cost overrun on the multi-storey car park element. Predominantly, I think that's where it came from. Coventry wished to use the £10 million that would have gone to the Bay platform to go into the multi-storey car park. The decision of the investment board at the time was that's fine to do, but we still want a Bay platform being delivered, and hence the timescale was put in for delivery where Coventry would seek alternative funding. It's still part of the funding agreement, so it still sits in the funding agreement.
And the money's still there,
as an output.
That money was kept specifically, so that money wasn't spent on the car park. It's still there.
Okay.
That money is still there, I guarantee you.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's been drawn down as if it's
We
been
kept
used.
it specifically.
Okay.
The point was, by the time we got to spend it, Network Rail put the cost up to 20 million and wouldn't fund the difference.
Okay. Well, it's something I can pick up certainly with your officers to remove the timing requirement. We do need to document
it's linked in,
moved and have a decision on it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's right. But it's totally linked in now to a wider, opening up of those lines going back out to the East Midlands. 2031 is, put it mildly, that's wildly optimistic when it comes to Network Rail. And it's all tied in. They won't do it. They just will not do it. I'm absolutely certain of it. Because they've got a record of promising everything and delivering next to nothing, really. I just don't trust them. It would you can go right back to when they built what was then the Ricoh Arena. The Bay platform was identified then in 2005, and we're still waiting. So I'll just, and every project we have, they then link the Bay platform to it, and then it gets clocked on, and it looks as if the local authority are holding it up. It isn't the local authority, it's Network Rail. And the reason why they do it is because they then start asking for extra infrastructure to be put in that then raises the cost. They want extra signalling, they want this and that. They stopped us from putting it in a couple of years ago because they wanted to keep the the diesel train from Bedworth or something. I can't even, this stuff is absolutely ridiculous. I can't even remember what it was. This train doesn't even run anymore. This whole thing is a nonsense. I know I'm ranting about this, but it's maddening, really.
I come in, Eugene.
Yeah.
I think I suggested at the last meeting, and I'm going to suggest it again, that a meeting's held with the mayor and representative from Network Rail and yourself to try and bottom this out, because obviously it's the connection between West and East Midlands. It's something, you know, it could have quite significant advantages both ways, and I think it's worthwhile being looked at a bit in a bit more detail. Yeah, you think?
Yes, I mean it's certainly something we can add on to remit, and we can bring it to attention of the mayor through the minutes and his team as something to pick up. It doesn't, that meeting in effect doesn't really, it's going to be helpful in terms of a platform. It's just kind of out with the project in some ways, i.e. if you're looking at a dashboard and you're looking at dates and amounts of money and things.
And that's
I absolutely take and we'll pick up with officers about how we've got the funding agreement right today. What do we need to do and what do we need to change, and bring it back for a decision if that's necessary.
I think also possibly the wording in here amended to take account of what Jim has just stated. Do you think?
Well, we can certainly record the debate in order to make a decision to remove that timing that's written in the funding agreement. I need to bring it here for a decision if that's the case, but I need to speak to the officers first.
Thank you.
I think Midlands Connect, there was an officer who, and I'll pass over the name to you, who's running it from 7th floor from WMCA as well, and the Woomry, the rail executive. You might be able to help.
I mean, I think it's more than that. Jim was right. Network Rail are notorious as not doing what they say they're going to do and charging you twice or three times as much as what it was in the first place. We've got a similar situation in Willenhall and Darlaston Station. Now, Willenhall and Darlaston Station, we had input from the Combined Authority to do that. And now they're saying, oh, well, we changed our mind. The train's not going to go into Walsall now. So we spent millions and millions of pounds creating two railway stations when the train is not going to connect to the town centre. How bloody daft is that? They said, oh no, it's going to cost an extra £2 million. So as a result, the train will now go straight into Birmingham. It will not go to Walsall, which is the whole idea of building the bloody station in the first place. And of course, as you've said, it's over budget. And to be fair, they just need holding to account. They seem to be getting away with this purely simply because they are an autonomous body. And what's they said, meet with the mayor if you like, but I think they'll listen very carefully and go away and do what they want to do.
Yep. That's the history of them.
Yeah.
They're hopeless.
Well, I must admit, I know we've strayed away from the agenda item, but
I don't know what a bay platform
I think that seems an absolute nonsense about not stopping at Walsall for Willenhall and Darlaston stations.
Yep.
But the very reason they were put in there was to actually increase the connectivity of the main town. So for that not to happen makes it an absolute nonsense, to be honest with you.
It's entirely irrelevant to say that. I wasn't aware. I mean that when you write the business case, you list out the benefits, calculate your benefit cost ratio.
Yes, yeah.
If one of the benefits was there's certain benefits from the connecting to Walsall, and that's no longer happening, it is relevant because that is lower benefits, and the cost may not, benefit cost ratio might not be the same equation. So it is worth bringing up, and it is worth addressing.
Is there any way that can be picked up elsewhere? Obviously, we're going to presumably minute that.
I'll pick it up with the project sponsors for TFWM.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have spoken to the mayor. He came to see me last week, and basically he is aware of it. And there is other monies in Transport for West Midlands, which we're looking at whether, although it's in a bit of a poor state with finances, whether we can actually move some money across. It's 2 million quid. That's what Network Rail are saying. And to change the, as you said, Ian, the business case is predicated on outputs. And now we're saying, oh, well, we're not going to go to the town centre now. We're going to look a bit bloody silly, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. Right, it's drawn out some other issues other than what's on the paper. The only thing I would say is it's a good thing that we've got down to just 4 projects that require a completion date. I would at this point make the comment that we're not seeing Solihull as a member of this meeting. It's probably about the 3rd or 4th meeting that we haven't had a representative from Solihull. So
Who is it, Peter?
It was Bob.
That was Bob.
it's bobsleigh. Still is bobsleigh. The name person. Yeah.
Last time he came was when we had to meet down here. Maybe don't like this room.
I'll speak to Bob. I don't know. I know there's a way, but you know.
He's been away for 6 months now.
It's about 3 or 4 meetings, Mike, that we haven't seen him.
I'll pick it up.
Yeah. And you haven't even sent a rep.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that can be picked up, Mike, that would do it. What I did miss, and it was because of the sequencing of what happened this morning, was the apologies for absence. So can we just make sure that we record what they work and have we got any apologies?
No apologies
No
received. No.
So Dudley's not here either.
Yeah.
I presume we are chorus. I think
Yes, we are. Yeah,
definitely.
with 5. Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other questions in relation to item 5, can we move on to the investment dashboards, which would normally be Nick Oakley?
Yeah, I'm also speaking with Kieran, who's stuck on the train for later where the items are. So yeah, item 6, 7, and 8, as normal, they're for note in public session, and I'll do a full rundown later on in private.
Any questions at this point, or are we going to leave it to the closed session? We'll have to do that. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Right, we have an item with the Wednesbury depot, in a part of which is in closed session. Do we want to start looking at this report at this point, or leave it to closed session? Clint?
I'll chair. I think close would be helpful.
Yeah.
Not some detail
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the numbers.
Everybody happy with it? We're moving to closed session then?
Yep.
Thank you. Right, at that point, then we exclude the public and press. I'll read out the statement. In accordance with section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business, as they are likely to involve the disclosure of exempt information as specified in the paragraph of the Act. So at this point, can we shut down in terms
Yeah,
of...
I've stopped the recording.